perfect person to answer this question. In light of what we've seen in this documentary, is that your way of putting to bed this notion that Michael Jordan himself played a role in Isiah not being on the Olympic Dream Team? And more importantly than that, years upon years later, when you hear Isiah say that's the one thing that's missing from his resume and how hurt he still is by that, what do you say to that?
Well, let me start with Isiah first. I know he's hurt. I mean, he's told me that. Because when you know that you should be on a team, the Dream Team, and he knows that we went on and did something special and he wasn't a part of that. And that's the greatest basketball team ever assembled. And during that time, he was one of those top 10 players for sure. So it's going to bother him. But what I don't want to happen is that those two men, Isiah Thomas and Michael Jordan, still, will have problems today with each other. Everybody's almost 60. See, I am 60. So we got to move past that. There's bigger things in life now. There's more important things in life than what happened, 20-something years ago.
Hey, Magic, let me throw this at you, because Max and I got into this debate last week. And I know Max is chomping at the bit. I don't know if he asked you this because I had the technical difficulty. Max is saying that it was close between Stockton and Isiah. He would have taken Isiah by a hair, but John Stockton and Isiah were close. To me, and the most basketball people I know, we respect the hell out of John Stockton. He was a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer. He was great. But there's levels to this, Magic Johnson. And John Stockton and Isiah Thomas was not on the same damn level. Magic Johnson, take the floor, basketball icon. I need an answer to that question about comparison between Stockton and Isiah.
This is real easy. It was no comparison. Isiah Thomas could take over a game both scoring-wise as well as controlling the game as a point guard. There's never been a guard that can do what Isiah could do in terms of just whether he could take over the game in the fourth quarter and win you the game. John Stockton didn't have those type of ability. His ability was more controlling the game, running that incredible pick-and-roll game with Karl Malone. Also, John was tough. He was a great defensive player. But he didn't have what Isiah had in terms of you could throw the ball to Isiah over in the corner and say, go one-on-one, and he's going to get you a basket. I saw that personally, right? Personally. No way John Stockton could score 25 points in a quarter in the NBA Finals. He just didn't have that type of ability. Yeah. But he's still a Hall of Famer. Don't take nothing away from John Stockton, but Isiah was special, man. People came to see Isiah play. And he led his team to back-to-back championships. That's hard to do. Now, the Utah Jazz had their opportunity, but they came up short the times that they went to the NBA Finals because they didn't have that guy that could take over the game. Only Karl Malone could actually score like that, but they didn't have the other players. But Isiah Thomas was special. He won in college. He won in the NBA. And the guy is super duper smart too. He's a great businessman. He went back, graduated from Indiana, also went and I think he got his master's as well. And so Isiah is special basketball player, special person.
Magic, I agree with you. I ultimately would also take Isiah because of what you just outlined. He could take over a game, and he could do it through injury. And the bottom line is he won 2 championships, and Stockton had his chances on great teams, and he failed to do so, and there is a dividing line there in my view. However, Stockton was All-NBA Defensive Player 5 times, was doubling Isiah's assist totals. I'm not trying to hear a Karl Malone pick and roll. That doesn't that doesn't go from 7 to 14 a game. Was in his prime at the time of the Dream Team when Isiah wasn't. And I know you were actually out of the NBA at the time, and Larry Bird was in his last season. Like, he was also not the same, and it's a legacy thing as much as anything, the inclusion of some guys on the Dream Team. But was Isiah that much greater than Stockton's that would Stockton was a much better shooter than Isiah. He was easier to be around for all you guys than Isiah. Looking at it now, even though you feel bad for Isiah, because I agree, Isiah should have been on that team. But looking at it now, was it the wrong choice to take Stockton? In other words, if you had to do it all over again, you still have to experience it with those same guys back then. What John Stockton brought to the team and the locker room, the whole thing, would you change it and put Isiah on instead of John Stockton if you had the ability to do so now?
Well, again, it's got to be based on talent, right, and what you have achieved. And based on talent and what Isiah achieved, you got to put him on the team. Now, was he going to be a better teammate than John Stockton on the Dream Team? We don't know that. But John Stockton was a great teammate, and also he played great in the Olympics. So I'm never going to take nothing away from John Stockton because I played against him 6 times a year, and he was incredible. And you're right. When you think about his jump shot, yes, he had a better jump shot than Isiah, but he wasn't the go-to guy at the end of the games in the fourth quarter, where Isiah was that go-to guy. Now, when the fourth quarter came,
but you guys didn't need that.
Isiah's shot got better, and he could hit the big shot to win the game for the Pistons, and we saw that over and over again. We saw Isiah score 50 points, 45 points. We didn't see John Stockton do that, and that's what we're talking about.